Beat tracks on this car. Beat tracks on this car.
So tonight's episode, show, whatever you want to call it, is about one of the biggest news pieces that's ever been dropped by our government, and it's gone unnoticed. It's paid attention, and that is that the Pentagon has confirmed the existence of UFOs. Stay tuned.
I don't know, you're only lost in some kind of dream that I don't understand, my friend.
All right, aloha ma'ohana. How are we doing tonight? Hope you guys are safe. I know it's just one in the crew for now, but we'll see. Plus people watch the replay, so I'm never too concerned with how many people I have in my live stream. Though it's always nice to have a couple in there to chat amongst yourselves. So we've got a pretty packed show tonight. I've got probably the most amount of articles and the most amount of videos I've ever showed in one setting, and I'm going to try to keep it under an hour. So we'll see how that goes. So we're going to just jump right into it. Officially, the Pentagon, I believe 2 days ago, on the 27th, officially re-released. They didn't release these; they were re-released, and we'll look into that later because the story broke 2 years ago, 3 years ago now. It was in 2017. It was unconfirmed, but now the Pentagon has decided that since these videos don't show any type of sensitivity to their instruments or what they're capable of or what this thing is capable of, they decide to go ahead and admit that, yeah, we don't know what it is. That's basically what they said. That they're not saying that aliens are in that ship, but come on. If it's the way these things move, they're not controlled by some remote controlled person, on the ground. So, but they have fully admitted that UFOs now officially exist. So we're going to jump straight in. I'm going to share this video, and before I share it, I want to make a what's the word? I want to make like an attention notice. This video is a hoax. It's a fake, but I'm going to show it anyway because it's going to prove a point that I'm going to get into. And trust me, it's what the whole show is about. So we're going to start with this. This was I'll just play it and then we'll dissect it. All right, so that video is obviously a hoax, and I'm gonna tell you why. I showed it anyways because something like that has probably already happened. Now, this whole scenario, the woman in that video is real, but she's not really there. It's actually just a CGI superimposed. So I'm going to share this, and this is the actual website that I found the whole story behind it. It's actually been proven to be a hoax. Now, this here, if you look, it shows this lady here who we just looked at, and this is the Turkey president. And it's the same footage. Watch the guy here and watch the guy here. Now watch how they at the same time make the same suggestion and then they walk backwards. So you can tell it's just CGI. However, the woman is real, and the information that was put in that is real. You look that up, and there were radio signals. What's even more crazy is that the thing that they're talking about is real, this pyramid. We're going to look into that in just a second. So I just wanted to show you that to share that, yes, that was a hoax. I originally thought it was real, and it wasn't. So, but the thing is, something like that has probably already happened. If you think we haven't had people come in and address the UN in closed door meetings about stuff like this, with all this activity that we're seeing across the world, that we've seen across the world for years and years and years, only so much of it can be faked, right? I have never had any personal experience with UFOs. I might have when I was like 8 or 9, but I'm so uncertain as to whether or not I actually saw something or as to whether or not I just had an overactive imagination. So, because I can't distinguish between the two, I can't 100% say that I've seen something. That pyramid that was hovering over the Pentagon, that's real. And it's not the first time we've seen it. Now, I'm going to share a video. And this video I compiled together 3 different videos, and I put it up on YouTube. It's on my channel, but it's private. You can't see it. It was just for the sake of this show. So I'm going to go ahead and share this video. And this is of 3 separate occasions where, as far as, I mean, there's more, but just without getting a whole bunch of watermarks that I'm trying to remove from people's channels, these were the most cleanest I could find. So we're going to share this now. And this is this pyramid-shaped object that floats over main parts of the city. So let's watch this. So those three videos have not had any refutation. So no one's been able to refute them, especially the one that appeared over the Pentagon. And see, I'm a big UFO. Like I love the whole phenomenon of it. I love the stories and just the history of it. But I must have been living under a rock in 2018 because I completely missed that story. I didn't even find that story out until a couple of days ago about this that happened back in 2018, and there is still not the first expert that has been able to refute the evidence. There's been a lot of explanations for it, but it is as of right now an unexplained mystery, right? So that pyramid did in fact show up above the Kremlin headquarters in Russia and above the Pentagon, but the one in Russia was in 2009, and 9 years later it was over the Pentagon. So we're going to look at this now. It's an article that is talking about it, and let's make sure that okay, we're right. And this was written on December 23rd, 2018. So it says the alien contact cover-up, mysterious triangular aircraft spotted hovering above Pentagon. So a mysterious aircraft has been spotted by multiple witnesses hovering over the Pentagon, triggering a frenzy of conspiracy theories trying to explain the huge floating pyramid. A bizarre pyramid-shaped object has been spotted by filmed by multiple witnesses as the UFO floated above the Pentagon this week. Online viewers of the videos question whether or not the sighting over the infamous military installation was evidence of a government cover-up of contact with aliens. Others suggest that the triangular object was proof of a top-secret holographic U.S. military experience. It's possible. In the eerie videos, a giant black triangle can be seen looming above the Department of Defense, U.S. Department of Defense. They're talking about the Pentagon. It's very rarely ever referred to as that. The shocking footage filmed by both Alex Dude and David Wilson on Wednesday. So two separate people filmed this. And this isn't the first time we've done that either. We have also had people in, there was a very famous collection of videos in Jerusalem a few years back, where in 3 different locations in the city at the same time filmed this light going down. It may have been Mecca. It may have been Mecca, not Jerusalem. But anyway, it went down to this very holy site, this light, and then all of a sudden it went and then shot straight up. And they put all these collaborations of these videos. There's more than 3, I think, but 3 that I could find. And so that happened in 2018. Where the hell was I at? So fast forward to the Space Force. Right? When was the Space Force announced? Well, let's look at that, because it might surprise you. I thought that the Space Force was announced much earlier than it was, but here we are. Trump officially organizes the Space Force under the Air Force. Look at the thing, February 19th, 2019. 2 months after this video, or in these videos, in this story that I heard nothing about. If you guys heard about it, then you're way ahead of me on that. Knowing nothing about this. But now the Space Force makes a whole lot more sense, because not even 2 months later, he announces it. We're going to read just a little bit. President Donald Trump on Tuesday signed a directive centralizing all military space functions under a new Space Force, which will be overseen by the Department of the Air Force. While it is technically up to Congress to approve the creation of the Space Force, which they did, a 6th military branch that would organize, train, and equip a corps of military space personnel. Trump's signing of the Space Policy Directive 4 marks the first time the administration has made clear how the new service will fit into the existing military structure. So we're going to read just a little bit what he said. Today, I am thrilled to sign a new order taking the next step to create the United States Space Force, Trump said during the signing ceremony. So important when you, I hate reading these. So important when you look at the defense, when you look at all of our other aspects of where the world will be someday. I mean, this is the beginning. This is a very important process. I feel like I lose brain cells when I read anything he writes. So that happened just 2 months later, right? Just 2 months later. And I didn't catch on to why. And so it really just makes a lot more sense, right? Before I get into it, let me hit this up because I saw you called me out. I have seen most of the UFO vids in the last 20 years, remote viewers, and you name it. However, I can say that it's all slightly suspect. Sure, right. So that's something that, in terms of all of the footage is out there, it's mostly suspect, right? Some of it you can absolutely tell it's fake. Some of it nobody can tell it's been faked, and whoever, if they faked it, they need a Nobel Prize for faking it, because if all the experts can't refute, a video, then I lean more towards it being true, being a true video. And let's be real. We live in an infinitesimal sized galaxy where there are trillions and upon trillions of galaxies. And within those trillions of galaxies are hundreds of trillions of stars. And orbiting those hundreds of trillions of stars are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trillions of planets. How egotistical humanity thinks that we're the only thing out there? Yeah, give me a break. But however, what we're not speculating on tonight is the existence of UFOs. They've been confirmed officially. So that's in the books. First time in our government's history that they've ever admitted, outright and in cold hard facts, that UFOs. I'm not talking about aliens, but there's not much of a stretch to go that far. They are actually confirmed. Well, yeah, it could be that way, Gus. Some things that you can believe in can turn out to be true, and some things that you believe in can turn out to be fake. That's why I don't never put so much faith into any one thing. If there's evidence that's been presented to me that sways, my viewpoint on it, I will take that into consideration. And to me, I think that's how people should be. We shouldn't just cling on to one ideal so tightly, and then no matter how much evidence is presented to us, on the other side, we just bury our heads even further into our ideology. I try to avoid that as much as possible. Hey, sweet, I didn't see you come in. All right, so what we're going to get into next is this, continuing on with the Space Force. So here it is. All right, so this was written in December of 2019, so last year. So Donald Trump officially launches the U.S. Space Force. The U.S. president approves funding for America's first new military in 70 years. The last military was the Air Force, the youngest one. Donald Trump has launched Space Force in this new military service in more than 70 years. In signing the 2020 National Defense Authorization Act that includes the force, Trump claimed a victory for one of his top national security priorities 2 days after being impeached by the House of Representatives. That's another thing. You didn't hear anything about this because of all that noise that was going on, the distraction of the impeachment. The Democrats absolutely knew that it was going to pass the House and fell in the Senate. The president knew that. The Republicans knew that. Everybody knew that. They did it anyway. So, yeah, I didn't realize that he had just announced it. Now, at this point, I was still, I didn't know if the Space Force was real. And then upon doing research for this video, I discovered, lo and behold, it is. Here we go. Here is the United States Space Force. This is spaceforce.mil. It is official. So we are going to just read a little bit of the fact sheet. The U.S. Space Force is a new branch of the armed forces. It was established on December 20th, 2019, an enactment of the fiscal year 2020 National Defense Authorization Act, and will be stood up over the next 18 months. The USSF was established within the Department of Air Force, meaning the Secretary of the Air Force is overall general known as the Chief of Space Operations. Well, we're getting into it now, into those futuristic novels I used to always read. And it serves as a senior military member of the USSF. The CSO is a full member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I don't miss being in the military. All the fucking acronyms. The mission of the USSF is a military service that organizes, trains, and equips space forces in order to protect U.S. and allied interests in space, because China's got an invading army of space tanks up there, apparently, and to provide space capabilities to the joint force. USSF responsibilities include developing military space professionals, whatever that means, acquiring military space systems, maturing the military doctrine for space power, and organizing space forces to present to our combatant commands. So take that as you will. Who knows? It makes absolutely no sense why we would create a space force unless A, our greatest rivals and enemies are doing the exact same thing in the hopes of dropping troops from the stratosphere, which they could do. A guy actually did jump from space, the highest free fall dive ever. It's possible. But, you know, or maybe it's, we've made contact and we're getting, shit ready. Maybe something's coming that we don't know about. It's speculation. I don't know. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research, right? So, on to the big, here's the bread and the butter. I'm going to show this. This was a video that came out in 2017. And this was the precursor to what is the main subject of tonight. So we're going to show this real quick.
To maybe our favorite story of the day, the one that we mentioned at the top of the show. Cue the music. What looks to be a case of real-life X-Files, ladies and gentlemen.
We're learning this morning about a Pentagon program that spent millions of dollars to look into UFO sightings, and ESPN's Tony Reale is so excited he's fidgeting in his seat.
Yeah, you bring in the sports guy for this. I'm all over this story. I told you, not just the X-Files, the XYZ files. That's what you get with me. They're unidentified, they're flying, and they're objects. And the fact that a secret department in the Pentagon thought they were worth millions of dollars of investigation has many wondering if the truth is out there.
Dun, dun, dun.
My gosh.
An unidentified flying object.
Look at that thing, dude.
Spotted by two Navy fighter pilots flying high above the clouds.
Look at that thing. It's rotating.
These newly released videos from the Department of Defense, published by the New York Times and Washington Post, part of a once secret government program to investigate sightings of so-called anomalous aerial vehicles in the skies. It sounds like a plot out of the X-Files.
The truth is out there.
Or something the Men in Black would zap from your memory.
Flash of light you saw in the sky was not a UFO.
But according to reports in the Washington Post and New York Times, the Department of Defense has spent at least $22 million since 2007 looking into UFO sightings. Former Nevada Senator Harry Reid, who helped secure the funding for the program, telling the New York Times, "I think it's one of the good things I did in my congressional service. I've done something that no one has done before." And now, the Pentagon officially acknowledging its Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program for the first time. Telling ABC News they ended the program in 2012 in favor of other higher priority issues that merited funding, but that the DoD takes seriously all threats and potential threats to our people, our assets, and our mission, and takes action whenever credible information is developed.
The Pentagon ended funding, but the New York Times reports the program remains in existence and has continued to investigate episodes brought to them by service members, which leads me to ask this question. And there's no film and cameras anymore, so don't worry about anybody watching. Do you believe in UFOs, Dan?
I mean, there are definitely...
All right, so that's all of that video. So that was in 2017. And of course, it was just glossed over. It's just another one of those morning news that's putting that question out there. Are we really alone? Now, those videos that they showed, that one in particular, that was an official video that was released by a private company. Don't know how they got their hands on it, but they got their hands on it. And so then we fast forward to April 27th. And I'm going to go ahead and make this full screen so that we can read this. Pentagon officially re-releases UFO videos. Now, this was Wednesday, April 29th, 2020, but it came out a couple of days ago. We're going to go ahead and watch this video real quick, just to give you a confirmation on it, and then we'll read a little bit.
It's rotating. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the SA. my gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
They do say, I mean, I've seen and I've read and I've heard, and I did have one very brief meeting on it, but people are saying they're seeing UFOs. Do I believe it? Not particularly.
Do you think you'd know if there were evidence of extraterrestrials?
Well, I think our great pilots would know. And some of them really see things that are a little bit different than in the past. So we're going to see.
So there you go. It's official, right? They have come out and they have said, yes, there are things up in the sky that we cannot explain. So we have a situation where it just was glossed over. It was glossed over. This is a huge announcement. This isn't a speculation. This isn't a theory. This isn't like a what if video. They fully announced that, hey, there's stuff up in the sky we can't explain, and it's not ours, and it's not anything that we know. So that's huge. It's not a far stretch to go, maybe there's some little green men in there operating that vehicle. Now, I make no mistake, being prior military, I don't have, I had a top secret clearance, which is not the highest you can go in the government or in the military. Top secret just comes with a lot of jobs that deal with some sensitive information. It's very common to have a top secret clearance in the military. It's not a big thing to say that. But, make no mistake, we have vehicles that we have reverse engineered. And we do have aerial flying vehicles that we have tested that people have caught wind of. There was a very famous video of a flying saucer that was being escorted by two F-15s. Yeah, they were F-15s at the time. So this was a few years ago. That was one of ours. I make no mistake. I have no doubt that was one of ours. We were testing something. It was just being escorted back to the base. And this was in the middle of nowhere. And this person just happened to be up there. I don't know what he was doing, but he was GoProing, walking through the woods, and he caught sight of it up in the sky. Well, I don't even think there was GoPros back then. It was just regular camera, but you get my point. Yes. So let me bring this up. I haven't been in touch with MUFON in terms of like reading what they have and putting and watching their videos in a while, but it got to the point where I just stopped because I already in my mind had made up the decision that they do exist. So I don't need constant encouragement and reminders. If something comes across my screen that catches my attention in terms of UFOs, I'll watch it. But I don't really go out of my way to research it anymore because obviously now I'm right. So is everybody else has ever believed they were real in terms of at least UFOs. But again, there's not much of a difference. There's really not. Something's got to be flying that or nothing's flying it. But otherwise, it's still something that our government does not know. So you bring this up. How can one explain the pyramids at all? So there must have been some that have been here before us, raise the question, why is that not common knowledge or disclosed? Well, you want to hear my theory on it, and I apparently need to get a hold of the Amazing Drop, and we need to collaborate along with Daniel Whitaker as well, because we're all three kind of very much interested into this past civilizations, where humans have been around for 130,000 years, and we only have history of about 10,000 years of that. It doesn't add up. And the pyramids actually were labeled as far older than the time of the Egyptians. And then that was very quickly turned around, and those people were pretty much excommunicated from the archaeology community in the 1800s. They said, and in the early 1900s. They kind of did some carbon dating, early, forms of it, and they said, "Wait a minute, this doesn't add up. This isn't coming from 2500 BC. This isn't coming from 1500 BC. This is coming from like 10,000 years ago." And of course, they said, "No, that doesn't add up with our narrative, with our history. We know that the Egyptians built these pyramids. No, we don't. Let me tell you what; those pyramids were there long before the Egyptians showed up. I think they just built a civilization around it. They worshipped it. These pyramids were built with manners and methods that is still unknown to us, it doesn't mean it's extraterrestrial. It could simply mean that a past civilization of humanity got to a point of such sophistication that they create buildings like that. Hell, it was probably just a park or something. Who knows? And then they got wiped out by something, and thousands and thousands and thousands of years later, when we crawl out of our caves and get back to getting down to business of ruling over people, and then we reboot society. So that's my answer to that question. That's where I think it came from. I think it came from a previous age. You know, in 7 generations, we went from riding horses to putting men on the moon. In 7 generations. What do you think we could do in 7,000? Because that's how many generations are in 130,000 years, 7,000 generations. Look what we did with 7. We spent 6,993 generations painting in caves on walls? No, come on. No. Anyway, well, that's my show for tonight. I'm really surprised I got through it. I powered through it. I didn't stop and go off on as many tangents as I usually do. So, but I really appreciate you guys coming up, showing out, and I'm going to play a little bit of an outro song, so you guys feel free to hang out. This is from my best friend, Kai Gordon. I really suggest you go to SoundCloud, check him out, Kai Gordon. You'll see his name on the screen. He's we're former band members, and he's been a huge inspiration to me musically. So I'm going to play one of his songs called The Trial, and hope you guys enjoy it. So aloha, mahana pono.
Well, my father once told me, son, don't you spend your life on the run, yeah. Have a heart that weighs a ton, and don't you be so quick to draw your gun on. He said, son, yeah, he said, son, don't you be so quick to draw your gun. It took many years for me to see this road that lies ahead of me, and I think there could be more to read. If the seeds I sow are worth to keep, if I just open my soul, happiness could be free. In this crazy world, I know there's someone looking out for me. Won't change my mind, old time ain't gonna change my mind. Know exactly who I want standing by my side. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, yeah, yeah, God, I need you so. All the things you've been teaching, never giving me hope. Been a long time coming, baby. Now I know I give my word to you, that I owe. Darling, how can I explain the reasons I've been living this way? Well, I swear to you that I can change. You, I sell my soul away. I just open my soul. Happiness could be free, baby. Oh yeah, in this crazy world, I know there's someone looking out for me. Oh, won't change my mind. Old time ain't gonna change my mind. I know exactly who I want standing by my side. All my friends, I need you. Can experience the whole time standing by my side. So long I've been just an empty man with a broken heart and an open hand. Through time I went like a grain of sand, and now I felt like the rest of the hourglass. Somehow she looked inside of me, saw the soul of a man she knew I could be. If I just put the drink down, stop smoking weed, maybe a God would finally talk to me. If I just open my soul, maybe happiness will be free. In this crazy world, I know there's someone looking out for me. Won't change my mind, old time ain't gonna change my mind. Now I know exactly who I